For many of us, the biggest bottleneck when it comes to singing isn't actually our technique, how good we sound, but sometimes it's our ability to sing in front of other people. And I'm sure you can relate, the tight throat, the dry throat, your heart starts racing, your legs get weak. I still remember when I first started learning how to sing, I'd often wait till my home was empty before I'd even sing. And so if you're dealing with this fear of singing, especially in front of people, today I'm going to share with you 2 practical ideas to help you overcome this. Now, real quick, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ivan. I'm a voice teacher who works with students from all around the world. And really on this podcast, my goal is to make learning how to sing as simple and as easy as possible. So if that is up your lane, consider subscribing wherever you're joining me from. If you're interested in improving your voice with less of the headache, then I've got some links down in the description below on how you can work with me, whether it be private lessons or working through one of my self-study programs. Last but not least, if you want to inspire our next episode, let me know down in the comments below what you want me to talk about next. Anyway, let's talk about how we can overcome that fear of singing together. Now, the typical advice here is just go out and do it. Now, whilst this is true, I think we can make it a bit easier for ourselves, and also so we don't go out and we just do it and we have one of the worst experiences ever and it makes us want to not ever sing again. Now, the first idea here is recognize the emotion for what it is. For a lot of us, when we feel the fear, we feel the nerves, the anxiety, we do one of 2 things. The first one here is we really latch onto that emotion and we allow it to consume us and we make it bigger than it actually is. The second one is we try to ignore it, we try to suppress it, a bit like the fake it till you make it approach. Now, personally for me, something that has really helped is rather than blowing it bigger than it needs to be or trying to suppress and squash it, just simply recognizing that these emotions will come and it's part of a process. And one thing that has been especially helpful is paying attention, to the physical sensations that are linked to these emotions. For example, say you're feeling weakness in the legs, or maybe your throat feels a bit kind of dry. Try observing it like you're watching a tree, just observing from a distance. I find that when I do this, it just seems to allow me to stay more neutral, more calm, and not be overly emotional, but also not trying to avoid it either. Now, I think just learning to manage your emotions, learning to stay a bit more neutral is important, but it's also equally as important to actually go out there and do it, but with a caveat. And this leads me to idea number 2, which is we need to give our brain proof and evidence that performing, singing in front of others is good for us. I mean, think about it. There are plenty of people out here who have told me, I have this fear of singing, or I quit singing for a long, long time because when they were younger, maybe they went out and they did a school concert. They actually went out and performed, but maybe they messed up bad. Maybe there was a voice crack, maybe the nerves got the better part of them, or maybe they were even laughed at. And because of this, they've labeled this experience as bad in their mind and they don't want to do it again. And so clearly there's more to it than just do it. We do need to find a way to teach our brain that, hey, this is good. Maybe even give it a bit of a reward. And so how do we do this? Rather than focusing on the mistakes, rather than focusing on how bad you sound or, how people might be laughing at you, focus on the good things, focus on the fun, focus on the joy, focus on you taking that courage and actually getting out there and trying to get better. For example, last Friday, me and my friend went out to busk at a new venue. For those of you who are not familiar with the term busking, basically we went to perform in public. And to be honest, I was very, very nervous. It was a new venue. It was a bigger kind of audience. There was just so much more going on. And what made it even harder was during my first couple of songs, I had these kids come up to me during the performance and they try to chat with me as I was singing, or sometimes they kind of play around with my gear as I was trying to perform. And it was cute, but very, very distracting. And so during these couple of songs, I slipped up a lot. I forgot a couple of my lyrics. I messed up a few times on the piano as well. Now, of course, I could have focused on this. I could have, focused on how bad the performance maybe went. And I could have felt bad about myself. And this is something I honestly would have done earlier in my journey. But this time around, I just focused on how this was such a light-hearted moment. And I actually cracked up and I laughed during the performance. And you know what happened? The audience started laughing as well. And so I think this goes to show your focus determines a lot of your experience. If you can get out there and you just do it, you go and perform more, but you focus on the reward, the fun, the joy, the opportunity to learn, then this makes you want to go back. And maybe next time, rather than being scared, you might actually feel a bit more excited. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't be critical. Even as I'm reflecting on that performance, I'm still thinking of ways on how I could have avoided or make that situation better. But I think especially for us as singers, we need to know that there's a difference between being critical and trying to get better and just purely beating yourself down and trying to make yourself feel bad. Anyway, that is all, team. If you found this episode useful, please share this with a friend or family. This really means the world to me. If you're listening from a podcast, leaving a 5-star really helps grow this podcast as well. If you want to improve your voice faster with less of the headaches, once again, links in the description on how you can work with me. Apart from that, my name is Ivan. I'm your voice teacher. I'll see you next time. Take care.